Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast. We are jumping right into a name that's really been making waves, causing quite a stir on Wall Street. BigBear.ai Holdings. The stock's seen this, massive surge lately. Lots of momentum in the sector driving it. So our goal today, really focused for you, is figuring out, is BigBear.ai a good buy right now? Or is this, just speculation getting out of hand?
Yeah, it's a great question. We've pulled together quite a bit here, technical charts, notes from institutional investors, the company's own reports, synthesized it all. The whole narrative around AI in defense is exceptionally strong right now, no doubt. And the volatility, it's definitely real. So what we want to do is try and cut through some of the noise, the headlines, and give you a clearer picture of the, let's say, the current investment landscape. We're really focusing on the tangible catalysts that seem to be driving this.
Okay, great. We're going to cover the core financials, the competitive advantages that moat people talk about, and critically, those key events coming up in the next, 90 days or so. Before we dive in, though, just a quick reminder, please subscribe, like the show, leave a comment, and hey, if there's a specific company you want us to look into, drop it in the comments below. Let us know. All right, let's get into this rally then, because honestly, anyone watching the chart has to be struck by the speed. It's been pretty stunning. The big thing here is just the sheer momentum, right? BigBear.ai share price up over 70% in October 2025. Just October alone.
It's really something. And what's particularly interesting here is the conviction behind it, especially from institutions. This momentum doesn't feel entirely, let's say, frivolous. It seems fueled by real optimism in the AI defense space, which, is an area likely to see continued federal spending, plus a series of actual corporate milestones the company's been hitting.
So when did things really start heating up? Before October, when did the bigger players start making moves?
Good question. The acceleration really kicked off back in September 2025. We saw a really sharp increase in trading volume then. There was one day, mid-month, with an outsized gain over 15%. And that spike in volume, it lined up pretty closely with signs of increased institutional buying. Seems like awareness of their key federal contracts was really starting to solidify among fund managers. And even before that, if you look back to August, their Q2 2025 earnings report, they reiterated some pretty strong guidance, specifically tied to national security and defense revenue. That was sort of the foundational piece.
Right. Right. And visibility is key, too, isn't it? Especially for a company like this, trying to get more mainstream recognition beyond just being a defense contractor. I think I saw them on some financial news recently.
Exactly. They actually held a pretty high-profile PR event right at the New York Stock Exchange. Do the whole opening bell ceremony thing. That kind of move sends a strong signal, confidence. Helps cement their image as a major player, a growth story, not just some quiet contractor working behind the scenes. But okay, excitement is one thing. Performance earns it, sure, but excitement alone doesn't guarantee a solid investment. We need to ground this. Does the balance sheet actually support this kind of valuation run?
Yeah, critical point. Let's pivot to the bedrock financials. Trailing 12-month revenue, TTM, as of the end of Q2 2025 is around $152.56 million. That growth seems pretty consistent. Looks like it's outpacing quite a few of the smaller, maybe more specialized peers in that A defense niche.
Yes, the growth trajectory is definitely strong. Into defense, supply chain, biometrics, it supports the story. But we absolutely have to talk about the elephant in the room. The thing that often, makes retail investors a bit nervous, that's the TTM net loss. It's significant, almost $444 million.
Okay, that is a big number. Why isn't the market punishing them more for that loss? How are they getting a pass?
That's a really important question, and it gets to how these kinds of companies, especially government contractors, are often valued differently. See, the market isn't really pricing BigBear.ai like, say, a typical consumer tech startup that's just burning cash on ads. It's viewing it more as a government systems integrator, that huge loss. A lot of it reflects calculated heavy investment, R&D, scaling up platforms, some one-time charges too. And crucially, this spending is somewhat shielded because it supports work tied to guaranteed, often multi-year government contracts. So the structure allows for these big upfront investments, these losses, in exchange for potentially decade-long secure revenue streams down the line. It makes the loss look more strategic, less like an immediate existential threat.
Okay, that context definitely helps explain the market cap then, which is pretty substantial, right? Currently around $3.40 billion. What about their immediate financial health, liquidity, debt?
The balance sheet looks moderate overall. Debt seems manageable. They've got sufficient liquidity, holding roughly $97 million in cash. But the number that really feels like it defines the medium-term investment horizon here.
Yeah.
It's management's explicit goal. They've stated it clearly. They're aiming to achieve positive free cash flow by the second quarter of 2026.
Ah, so that's the benchmark.
Absolutely. Hitting that target will be like the baseline proof point for the broader market that they can become financially self-sustaining. It's huge. And this ties directly into their competitive advantage, right? Their moat. Why is BigBear.ai so well positioned to capture this massive government spending? What stops a competitor from just swooping in?
Yeah, tell us more about these sticky relationships you hear about. How do they lock others out?
Well, their position is pretty unique, actually. They are a major provider of AI-powered decision intelligence tools for some really key U.S. federal agencies. We're talking defense, intelligence community, transport security, top-tier stuff. And this isn't just about, selling off-the-shelf software. It's about having the necessary security clearances, having their proprietary tech deeply integrated into classified mission-critical government systems.
So the barrier isn't just a patent. It's bureaucracy, deep integration, and earned trust.
Precisely. Those long-term government contracts mean budgets are often allocated years out. That gives them reliable, recurring revenue. Plus, think about it. Once an AI model is woven into a complex defense or intelligence system, a process that can take years and cost millions to customize switching to a new vendor, the cost, the disruption, the retraining, it becomes prohibitively expensive and complex. So you combine that proprietary tech, the deep agency relationships, the high switching costs. It really does create a meaningful, almost fortress-like moat against newcomers. Okay, let's shift gears now to the immediate future, because the next 3 months look packed with some really critical known events. These are things that will almost certainly drive volatility. If you're trading this or investing, you need these dates circled. They'll likely dictate short-term price moves.
All right, lay out the calendar for us. This is where the rubber meets the road for near-term decisions.
Okay, key catalyst number 1 is financial. It's the Q3 2025 earnings release. Looks like it's scheduled for either October 31st or possibly November 4th. We're seeing slightly different dates listed. Now, analysts won't just be looking for a simple year-over-year sales beat. That's table stakes. They'll need clarity, clear guidance on any big new contract awards, updated forecasts for the full year. That clarity, or lack thereof, will probably determine if the stock consolidates here or tries to break higher.
Makes sense. And beyond the company's own news, what about market mechanics, things that could affect flows and liquidity?
Right. Key catalyst number 2 involves those broader market events. We've got ETF quarterly rebalancing coming up, likely around November 15th, 2025. That plus the institutional holdings disclosures, those are due December 12th, 2025, could really impact institutional flows. Think about it. If AI-focused ETFs are rebalancing into BigBear.ai, it forces passive funds to buy shares, pretty much regardless of the current price. That can create some significant buying pressure, nice tailwind.
Okay, so we've got the solid foundation, the known events. But what about the more speculative stuff, the high-impact rumors that could, move the stock 20% overnight? What's the buzz?
Yeah, there are definitely some strong undercurrents of market chatter fueling the optimism. Let's break down 3 main threads. First, there's persistent talk about a potential major strategic acquisition announcement. The word is it might be a bolt-on deal acquiring a smaller, specialized defense AI company, something designed to quickly add specific capabilities or accelerate product synergies.
Interesting. And the core business rumors, probably tied closer to the DoD, right? Those must be even bigger potential movers.
Absolutely. Speculation is running really hot around a possible large, major federal AI contract win. Could be something classified, maybe deeply tied to a high-profile Department of Defense or intelligence community program. If they land an anchor contract like that, get confirmation, that would be huge validation for their tech and their position, the ultimate validation, really. And then finally, there's these persistent rumors about a major strategic partnership, possibly with one of the big cloud providers or maybe a major data analytics firm. A deal like that could instantly scale their offerings and market reach way beyond their current federal focus. Open up new commercial avenues.
Okay, so lots of potential catalysts. Let's bring it back to the chart now, ground ourselves in the technical picture. We know the stocks had this dramatic climb, currently trading around 8.93 cents as of October 14th, 2025. That's way up from the 52-week low of $1.51.
Wow. Yeah, a move like that can sometimes signal exhaustion, though. Does the chart actually confirm that the strength is continuing, or are things looking a bit stretched technically? Well, the momentum confirmation is actually quite powerful here. What's crucial is that the stock is holding steadily above its key moving averages. The 50-day simple moving average, the SMA, is down at $6.17, and the longer-term 200-day SMA sits at $5.01. The fact that we saw that institutional buying push the price firmly above that $5.01 level, especially after the Q2 earnings, that really helps establish the 200-day as a kind of psychological floor, a strong support level for longer-term bullish outlooks.
Okay, so support seems solid below. What about overhead? Where's the next major resistance level we need to watch if this momentum keeps going?
The immediate battleground looks like that recent high range. We're seeing it identified between roughly $10 and $10.40. A clean, decisive break above $10.40, especially on good volume, that could signal a move into, well, blue sky territory, might trigger a new wave of buy orders pretty quickly. Now, if we do see a pullback, maybe after earnings or something, strong support should kick in somewhere between $6.20 and $7.20 based on recent price action and those moving averages.
Got it. And what about sentiment? You mentioned institutional buying. What are analysts saying? I saw the consensus is strong buy, but then I looked at the price targets. Wait a minute. Many consensus targets are still between like $5.83 and $7.24. The stock's trading near $9. Doesn't that huge mismatch mean analysts are way behind the curve and about to downgrade? Or are we maybe in a speculative bubble their models just can't justify yet?
That mismatch is the classic tension you see with these high momentum growth stocks. It's a great point. It strongly suggests that, yes, traditional analysts using maybe backward-looking valuation models are lagging the current growth narrative and the institutional conviction we're seeing. But look at the 14-day relative strength index, the RSI. It's actually pretty neutral right now, around 45.79. That reading suggests accumulation is happening steadily, but the stock isn't technically overbought yet, which kind of implies there might still be runway for further upside, even with those lagging price targets out there.
Huh. Interesting. And that conviction seems backed up too, right? Weren't there reports of executives, insiders buying shares through Q3, plus increased flows from those specialized AI funds?
Exactly. Insider buying adds another layer of confidence. Seeing executives putting their own money in alongside those institutional inflows from AI and defense tech-focused funds, it does strengthen the bull case. They're putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak. Okay, now for the crucial final piece. We need to identify the risks. What could actually derail this whole run? It's vital to keep a balanced view. While the outlook seems bullish, the number one fundamental risk is still that negative operating income. Those historical net losses we talked about. Management has laid out a path to profitability, sure. But any significant delay, any misstep in hitting that positive free cash flow goal by Q2 2026, that could trigger a really sharp correction as the market reassesses their ability to execute.
And what about risks specific to the business model, relying so heavily on government clients?
Yeah, there are company-specific risks, too. High customer concentration is one. Winning huge contracts from just a few big government agencies is great for stability, but it's also a double-edged sword. You become vulnerable if there are sudden budget shifts, procurement delays, policy changes, things mostly outside your control. We also see the usual lag in government receivables. Getting paid by Uncle Sam can sometimes take a while, which can temporarily impact cash flow timing. And of course, there's always the inherent risk of just executing technically on these massive, complex, sometimes classified projects. Things can go wrong.
Okay, so summing it up, we've got a stock with undeniable momentum, a really strong competitive moat built on those deep federal ties, clear catalysts coming up very soon, but also significant risks, mainly around executing on that path to profitability. Given all that synthesis, what's the final investment thesis here? What's the best way for someone listening to think about BigBear.ai right now, considering their own investment horizon?
The overall outlook, weighing everything, still leans heavily bullish. I'd rate it maybe at 9 out of 10 in terms of conviction. The core thesis rests on that rapid revenue growth trajectory, their clear leadership position in the defense AI niche, those very specific near-term volatility drivers we outlined, and the technical picture showing confirmed momentum above key support levels.
So bullish outlook, but how should someone position their capital? Is it a trade, an investment?
Well, this stock seems exceptionally well suited for potentially two distinct approaches right now. First, for short-term trading. Someone looking to actively capitalize on the expected volatility around the Q3 earnings, any partnership news, potential contract announcements, all happening in the next 3 months or so. There could be sharp moves to trade. Second, it also presents a very compelling long-term investment case for patient capital looking for concentrated exposure to these big secular trends: AI adoption, defense modernization, the digital transformation of government. The fundamental tailwinds in their specific niche are really powerful and seem likely to endure for years.
A high conviction call then on a clearly high volatility stock.
So the critical takeaways for you listening: keep an eye on that consistent revenue growth trend. Understand the power of that stable, defense-focused moat, and definitely mark your calendars for those upcoming October, November earnings dates. That feels like the next big test for this whole trajectory.
Exactly. And maybe here's a final provocative thought for you to chew on as you consider all this. To justify the current, let's say, $3.4 billion valuation, what matters more right now? Is it the headline-grabbing potential of securing that rumored large, maybe classified federal contract, getting that big win? Or is it the perhaps less glamorous but fundamentally crucial demonstration of fiscal discipline needed to actually hit management's stated goal of positive free cash flow by Q2 2026? How you answer that probably defines your immediate risk tolerance for this name.
A fascinating tension indeed. Growth versus execution in the high-stakes world of defense tech. That's all the time we have for this analysis today. Thank you so much for joining us on Investing Talk Podcast, and we wish you the best in your continued learning and investing journey.